Laser sights are an essential firearms training tool, clearly correcting and improving the two most important shooting fundamentals, aiming and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Tom has given the crew of Gun Talk the holiday off to spend with their family. Sit back and enjoy a reloaded version of a previously broadcast Gun Talk.
All right, we're back with you. Tom Gresham here. We are live from, well, from a cabin in the mountains in Idaho. It's amazing what we can do these days with the remote gear. It is fabulous. Watching the snow pile up, and I'll have a couple of tips about hunting and running around in the snow, protecting your guns, and actually making everything a lot safer in just a second. But I do want to give you this information. We're doing this stunning Ultimate Gear Package giveaway. If you go to guntalk.com/win, it's a $9,500 package. You have a chance to win. Includes, let's see, holy cow, a new Springfield Armory EMP pistol, the new Springfield Armory Saint rifle, Canon gun safe, Crimson Trace link system, Crimson Trace Railmaster, 1,000 rounds of rifle ammo, 1,000 rounds of 9mm ammo. That's all from Pro Match and, let's see, Freedom Ammunition. Oh, it goes on and on. It's crazy stuff. Dueling trees from Action Target, clothing. Let's see, crossbreed holsters, crossover belt, nylon belt. It just goes on and on. Again, to enter, to get a chance to win this, go to guntalk.com/win. Here's a little quick tip for you. If you're hunting in the snow, before you load your gun, before you load your rifle, take a piece of like electrician's tape and tape it over the barrel. Yes, over the outside of the barrel. That way, if you should brush your gun across the snow, the muzzle, you should shove some snow up in the barrel. You know, of course, that could cause a gun or barrel to blow up if you shoot it, if you got a bunch of snow up the barrel. But you just have a piece of tape over the barrel, and then when you fire, it just pushes the tape out of the way. It's not an issue. It's just going to be fine. So whenever I'm hunting in snow, I always make sure I have something over the end of the barrel, usually a piece of electrician's tape. I just throw a roll of electrician's tape in with my hunting gear. So just one little snow tidbit. If you have any other thoughts of ways to make sure your equipment keeps working in the cold and the snow, give me a holler, 866-TALK-GUN. Ted's called in from Spokane, Washington on 3. Ted, personal defense ammo. Talk to me.
Well, I was reading a book by Jimmy Cirillo, Guns, Bullets, and Gunfights. Mm-hmm. Anyway, in there he talks for a while about a real effective bullet. You know, he was involved in a lot of gunfights and was concerned about how effective that was, just like you were earlier talking about. Mm-hmm. I wondered if anything ever happened with that.
Well, I don't know. Let me give some quick background here. Jim Cirillo was on the New York Stakeout Squad. They were having so many robberies, they asked for, created a special unit, NYPD did. And Jimmy was a competitive shooter, target shooter, really, really good. And he was one of the first ones there, and then they got to pick the other members of the team, and they all had to be target shooters and competitive shooters, people who have shot under pressure. And they did a terrific job of slowing down the robberies, and they did it simply by shooting the bad guys. And they would just stake out these stores, and when the bad guys came in and robbed them at gunpoint, they would be in hiding, and they would just simply shoot them. But yet, to your point, back then, now remember, this was, God, how long ago was this? It had to be between 30 and 40 years ago, I would guess. Ammo wasn't nearly as good back then. It was marginal, okay? And he was trying to figure out something that works better. And Ted, here's the deal. We have always been trying to make handgun ammo work better because handgun ammo works really badly. It's, you know, at its best, it's marginal. I mean, honestly, you know, that's why we always say if you have a choice, you can pick up a rifle or a shotgun. The only reason you'd use a handgun in self-defense is because they're small enough to carry them around with you. But honestly, in your house, you probably ought to have a rifle or a shotgun. They're just that much more effective. So I'm not sure what Cirillo ended up coming up with, But boy, back then there was a lot of experimentation going on. What do you like for your self-defense rounds? What do you carry? What do you use?
Because it's so concealable, I have a XDS and 45, and I've got Corbon Powerball in it.
Very good load, and that is almost all. I mean, they're very consistent. That's really the best you're looking for. Is something that has enough power, it's consistent. The Corbon, the Powerball, has a plug in the hollow point. The idea behind that was, well, let me back up. One of the problems with hollow point ammo is when you're shooting through clothing, fabric, it can plug up the hollow point to the point where now it's functioning as a solid and it doesn't expand. The idea behind the Powerball, and there have been a couple of other designs that are similar to that, was we'll put a plug in the hollow point to keep it from plugging up, but this plug is designed to push forward and actually get penetration. So I take it you've shot these on target and they work well in your gun?
Oh, yeah, they pumped up almost to the size of a quarter, and even with that, it's a 3 1/3 inch barrel. It's fine, but mostly it's concealable, and that's, those hollow points, they're not going to go through and through. So
right.
I think that's the best I can do, and when something better comes along, I will definitely use it. But anyway, that ends my earlier question. So yeah,
I would say take a look at this new Honey Badger ammo from Black Hills Ammo. We just had Jeff on talking about. It's fascinating stuff. I actually got to see some of the early versions of that in the lab up at Black Hills Ammo. Gosh, year and a half ago. Startling. Some of the stuff, if they were pushing it fast, the temporary, and look, appreciate the call, Ted, the temporary wound cavity was looking like what you would get from a 223 and shooting it out of handguns. Some of it is so effective that it's probably never going to be available to us, citizen civilians. It'll be special stuff for military and law enforcement. But man, it's startling. The whole idea is handguns are low power. And I don't care if it's 45, 40, 9 millimeter, 38, 357. Relatively speaking, they're all fairly low power. I like the line that I think it was Clint Smith. He said, handgun bullets are like medicine. Sometimes it takes them a while to start working, which is one of the reasons when we train to shoot and then shoot again and shoot again until the threat is no longer a threat. You can't shoot. Well, it's like people say, shoot and assess. Well, you know what? If you have made the decision to shoot, and we're talking about a self-defense situation, someone is attacking, someone is about to harm you or is harming you or has harmed a loved one, you have flipped the switch. You have made the decision to shoot. At that point, you need to shoot until there's no longer a threat. So when you come down from recoil, if he's still there, there's a threat. And then you shoot, and if he's still there, there's a threat. If he turns around and runs, he's no longer a threat. If he falls down, he may or may not be a threat, depending on what he's doing. But if you shoot and he's still there, you don't need to decide if he's, the threat is still there. He's there. And this is just me talking. I'm not going to come and testify for you in court, okay? But I'm just telling you where I am. I'm just going to shoot once I flip the switch and say, okay, it's go time. I'm going to shoot until he's down or he has run away or something along those lines when I know for sure he's not a threat. But if he's still standing there, the threat issue has not changed. So that's just where I am. Hey, I'm going to get to Chad and Steve. Don't go anywhere. I got to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to get some range reports. We're going to talk about this Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals thing. It is startling what's going on out there. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
It's pure shooting fun for the whole family. The Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 Sport, a .22 rifle on an AR platform. The new, slim, easy-to-accessorize M&P handguard combined with Magpul M-Bus folding sights help you get shooting right out of the box. Lightweight, reliable. The M&P 1522 Sport from Smith & Wesson. Learn more at smith-wesson.com.
The Black Hills. There's nothing like it on Earth. The kind of place where characters become legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Crazy Horse, Calamity Jane. Pick any part of the world and you'll find people go there to make it their own. But this is where people come to get made. This is the place that made the people who make the best ammo on earth. Black Hills Ammunition.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Crimson Trace announces Laser Guard Pro, designed for today's most popular concealed carry firearms, combining a red or green laser sight with 150 lumen light and featuring instinctive activation. Laser Guard Pro takes personal defense to the next level. Available now for the Smith & Wesson Shield. Visit crimsontrace.com to find a dealer near you and to learn more about why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
The magic number here is 866-TALK-GUN. That will certainly get you in here. Let's see. This week on Gun Venture, one of our TV shows, we're going to go shoot with the youngest members of Team Springfield, Justine and Jaleese Williams, only 12 and 13 years old. Sisters are just, they're amazing. When you see them shoot, you're going to go, holy smoke. And they're just sweet as they can be, and they shoot like gangbusters. You got to check that thing out. Hey, line 2, Chad's with us out of Medford, Oregon, about this crazy Second Amendment decision out of the Fourth Circuit. Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a little disturbing, or actually quite a lot disturbing, what's happening in the courts right now. The case out of the Fourth Circuit, they're actually, and what really kind of is killing it for looking at the judges that we've always thought were conservative, like Scalia, some of the wording that they put into Heller with not absolute things like that. I believe they also brought up the M16. Other courts and judges are now using Heller to say, well, it's not absolute, and the crazy one is saying that Maryland's so-called assault weapons ban is constitutional because military weapons are covered. There's one other case that came up this week also in Michigan. It's an open carry case. It's not gone to trial or anything yet, but the original or the first proceedings in this case are on YouTube right now in the courtroom, and the judge is asking the defense attorney, are you going to be using the Second Amendment to defend your clients on an open carry case? The defense attorney says there is no open carry law in Michigan. The judge replies, well, the laws are muddled or in flux right now, and you do realize that the Second Amendment isn't absolute. The decision of Heller has told us this much. It's really, the courts are doing whatever they want now in regards to making rulings on these cases, and it's almost like the Second Amendment doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it certainly is as though the Heller decision doesn't exist as far as the lower courts are concerned. They're completely thumbing they're not just ignoring it, they're thumbing their nose at the Supreme Court and at the Heller decision, saying it doesn't say what they actually said. They didn't really mean what they said. And because we've got some wiggle room in here, we're going to say that it actually doesn't mean anything. In the Fourth Circuit, they said, look, the Second Amendment doesn't cover weapons of war. And they equate the AR-15, you know what you and I have, with grenade launchers. And you go, you're reading it and you're just shaking your head and thinking, these are the most ignorant people I have ever heard of. They're supposed to at least get themselves somewhat informed. I realize they can't be experts on the subject, but after reading hundreds or thousands of pages of briefings, they should have at least some semblance of understanding of what it is they are talking about. And it's like you're reading this thing and you're going, just how ignorant, I'm not saying stupid, that's a whole different thing. Ignorant means uninformed. How ignorant are these people to say that the AR-15 is the same as a full automatic M16, is the same as a grenade launcher. Therefore, it has no protection under the Second Amendment. It's breathtaking. But to your point, Chad, that's what these lower courts are doing. And honestly, to some extent, don't you think that had something to do with Donald Trump winning the election?
Yeah, I also think that I don't think it's necessarily ignorance. They are taking a backdoor route to getting an assault weapons bans. This isn't ignorance. They know what they're doing because the Second Amendment is strictly to protect weapons of war. What do you think militias use? I mean, the 1934 NFA is unconstitutional right on its face because it took away fully automatic weapons, and that's exactly what militias use and would need in a time of keeping a free state, just as the Second Amendment, its purpose.
It's an interesting point you make there, Chad. Look, I appreciate the call, is that the original intent of the Second Amendment was to give the public, the citizens, the ability to keep the government in check. And then you go to like U.S. versus Miller, 1939 Supreme Court decision. What they said was, in essence, if you boil it down, that Miller was found guilty of having a sawed-off shotgun because he didn't show that it had a military use, a Second Amendment use. In other words, if they had said, look, this is used by the military, then he would have been able to have it, which is the opposite of what the courts are saying now. They're saying, well, if it's used by the military, then you can't have it. So you have the 1939 Miller decision saying if it's a military-type firearm, then it is covered by the Second Amendment. And now the courts are saying that anything that is a weapon of war that's used by the military is not covered by the Second Amendment. It's pretty crazy right now. And we may have a chance. Honestly, if Hillary had gotten elected, we would have no chance whatsoever. None, zero, it would be over. These guns would have gone away. At least they would have been outlawed. Whether or not they go away depends on what you decide to do with your guns. Well, that's a topic for another time. PVC pipe. Okay, line 1. Steve's with us in Omaha, Nebraska. Steve, range report, please.
Yes, range report. This is on the Smith & Wesson Model 69 Combat 44 mag.
Uh-huh.
And I've had it about a year. I think it's been out just over a year, something like that, last week or the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You've had your comments about the GP100, and I bought my first 686 like 30 years ago, and I've never turned back. I've always stayed with Smith. But I like the 69 because it's an L-sized frame, not the big N frame.
Right.
It's you don't see a big difference, but boy, do you feel the difference in your hand. And so now, because of that, it's a 5-round cylinder, not a 6. But so what? It's 44 mag. And
now, did you get the 2.5-inch barrel?
No. I had a 6-inch 686 and a 4-inch Model 610, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to split the middle where it's somewhat concealable, but certainly a woods gun. And so, I went with the 5.
Okay.
And,
now, let me tell you something. As we're speaking right now, on my waist, I am carrying an L-frame Smith 686 7-shot 357, and I have been, to your point, I've been looking at, wow, you could actually get a 44 Magnum in the same frame size, same gun, basically, 5-shot, and then I would be tempted to shoot 44 special loads in that most of the time. What do you shoot?
Well, I've done the full house 44 mag, and it's fun for a while.
Yeah, right,
44
for a while.
special, but since I do cowboy action, I've done the 44 Russian, and it is the sweetest thing on earth.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But 44 special can be, you already know this, but for the listeners, you can get a plus B 44 special and have it be pretty hot.
Yes.
But because it's an L frame, big hands, small fingers, that's where I'm at. And I can absorb the recoil, but I get a little bit better grip on it just because it's an L instead of an N. And,
it is a sweet package.
That's why I love it.
It's a little bit smaller frame, a little bit smaller grip. 5 shots instead of 6 shots. As you say, big deal. Not that big a deal, honestly. 44, for those who don't know, if you have a 44 Magnum revolver, you can also shoot in that gun with no conversion or anything, 44 special ammo and 44 Russian ammo. The 44 special is it's actually a lot lighter load than the 44 Magnum, and the 44 Russian is an even lighter load. Are you hand loading or are you shooting factory loads?
I'm hand loading and factory, but I've got more hand loads now. So, I do both, but mostly hand loads.
Sweet.
I've got one that's like 625.
625 feet per second.
Yes,
it's just
sir.
a little
Yes,
pop
sir.
gun.
It's a sweet little thing, and you can hardly. If I could suppress that, I wouldn't even know I was shooting it, probably.
All right, Steve, thank you for that range report. That is great. And if you look at the history of the 44 Magnum, it was Elmer Keith who was taking 44 special loads and hand-loading them hotter and hotter and hotter and essentially making a Magnum out of it. You do not want to do that with a revolver that's made just for the 44 special, by the way. By the way, we were talking to the folks from Lipsy's, the firearms distributors, and it was funny, just out of the blue, they said, there's a real interest in revolvers now. I'm going, yeah, we've been seeing that. I don't know what it is, but, man, there's a lot of interest in revolvers right now. Let's see. I tell you what. Oh, we're not going to have time. Paul, don't go anywhere. I do want to talk to you, and I want to talk about the whole idea of courts legislating from the bench. But I've got about a minute left, and that's not enough time. It wouldn't do you justice. So don't go anywhere. Just stay on hold, if you would, please. And the rest of you, if you've got a comment or a question, by all means, give us a holler. It's 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. Now, here's the thing. If you're driving down the road and you just stumbled upon this show and it's called Gun Talk and you're thinking, boy, what a bunch of loons, crazy people, that's okay. We can have the conversation. This is not a place where we shout people down or cut you off. If you don't like guns, or if you think we should have more gun control laws or reasonable gun control laws, call me and tell me why. I will give you the floor. And I truly would be interested in knowing what the thinking is there. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. We're talking about the courts, we're talking about your guns, and talking about the ammo. What are you shooting? What are you carrying? And if you have any tips for hunting or being out with your guns in cold weather, I would love to get those. Just call me, Tom Talk Gun.
Tom has given the crew of Gun Talk the holiday off to spend with their family. Sit back and enjoy a reloaded version of a previously broadcast Gun Talk.
All righty, back with you, Tom Gresham. Just give me a holler, 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. I've got a couple of my buddies sending me text. One's in California listening, and one is in China. Yes, China. Listening. I wonder if the communists know that. Listening to online streaming. Fun stuff. In Virginia, talk about elections having consequences. Governor McAuliffe, of course, who just squeaked in, an anti-gun guy for sure. He is reconfirming his anti-gunness, if you will. He's planning to veto a bill that would prevent government agencies from enforcing gun bans at emergency shelters. In other words, right now, they have a ban. You can't take a gun into an emergency shelter if there's a flood or a fire or a hurricane. And they say, yeah, you can come to the shelter, but you can't protect yourself when you're there. And so he's saying, well, no. And the legislature passed a bill that said, no, we're going to repeal that. People should be able to protect themselves when they go into shelters. And Governor McAuliffe says, nope. You have to be defenseless when you go into shelters. I would love to send him some information about Hurricane Katrina and what happened in shelters. In fact, if you don't have it, if you haven't read it, a book, The Great Deluge, take a look at that. You will get a new appreciation for the levels of corruption and incompetence and just pure evil that some government entities are capable of. 866-TALK-GUN. Line 3, Paul's with us out of Minnesota. Paul, let's talk about these courts. What are they doing right now?
Well, they're legislating from the bench. It's all about their opinion. They are, just like you said, they are snubbing their noses at the Heller case decision, and they are legislating with their opinion. They're not even looking at the laws, and it's the same thing what happened with that Ninth Circuit decision with Trump putting a ban on those 7 countries. He had every right to do that to protect the citizens of this country, and they said, no, you can't do that. Well, that's their opinion. It was his right. It was his right.
Well, I mean, under the law, he has the sole discretion to do that. The president has that ability. And for the court to say, no, well, you have that ability, but we don't think your reasoning was good enough, so we're going to put a stop to it. That's one of those deals that the problem is, if we had Gorsuch in the Supreme Court, they could just immediately flipped it and gone to the Supreme Court and gotten that Ninth Circuit overturned. We don't have that yet. That's why we have to get Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. And that's going to happen. But right now, we've got this 4-4 situation. And so we dare not take a case like that to the Supreme Court because it'll get solidified on the leftist side there. But, Paul, I appreciate the call, sir. BP is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, line 2. BP, what are you thinking about buying here, or a 380? What are you doing?
Well, I was listening to your Black Hills Ammo guy, and they're making this new hot ammunition, and I was wondering and they're making a 380. I was just wondering if the 80 now would be a good home defense weapon.
I think the 380 is a perfectly acceptable personal defense caliber. It is up to the individual, of course, to be able to use it. The reason I would use a 380 for personal defense would be when I was carrying the gun. But in home, where I don't have to hide the gun, if you will, to conceal a gun, I would probably opt for a larger caliber. Not to say that the 380 won't do the job, and with good ammo, it's very effective. But if I had a 380, I would think I would want to use the very best ammo, and it sounds like this is some pretty radically good ammo. I have not shot it yet. I cannot wait to get some of it and try it. As soon as I do, I'll be able to give you a first-hand report. But, yeah, there's nothing in the world wrong with a 380 for personal protection.
Is it in the outlets yet?
I don't know. I should have asked him. I don't know. You might check your local stores. If they don't have it, ask them to order the Black Hills. What do they call it? The Honey Badger. Ask for the Honey Badger ammo from Black Hills, okay?
Honey Badger. Okay,
Honey Badger.
Got you covered. Thank you.
Thanks, BP. I appreciate that. Bill's in Reno, line 4. What happened to you, Bill?
Yesterday, I was at Dick's Sporting Goods. They just opened up a branch in Reno. Wandered in there just to see what's going on. I had been one in Idaho. So I went to the Reno store, and I was go over at the gun counter, and I said, hey, I'd like to look at that Model 700 there, and it looks to me like it doesn't have a box magazine. And he says, can I see your ID? And I said, see my ID? For what? First of all, we have to make sure that you're not a California resident before you're allowed to touch a gun, and that's the reason we're asking for an ID. I said, are you kidding me? So, Tom, I don't know what's going on with that store brand, but from the corporate, they're saying that we must show an ID, at least here in Nevada, because we're right across the border from California, that we have to show an ID to even look or touch a gun.
Well, I can tell you what's going on. It's Dick's Sporting Goods. Remember, or you may not know, Dick's is the outfit that after the Newtown shooting, they decided to get rid of all AR-15s because these are bad, evil guns that kill children.
Okay.
So
well,
at that point, I'd seen the last I'll ever see of the inside of a Dick's Sporting Goods store.
You and me both, brother, and I'll tell you, I think they're selling baseball bats and snow skis, but a necessary evil that they don't want to sell guns. I think they're anti-gun.
Well, clearly, they'll make the money off of it, but, I mean, for those who don't get it, there's no reason legally that they have to check IDs before you can see a gun. Even if you're a California resident, you can still look at guns. Now, they can say, well, we can't sell it to you. I don't think that's, we have to figure that out. They could actually ship it to a dealer in California. You could go through the process there. But, no, this is just more of their hand-wringing risk avoidance lawyers telling them what to do. And I will tell you, the moment they decided that they would just get rid of all their AR-15s because of the Newtown shooting was the moment when I said, then you're not with me. You don't have my back. you're in it just to do what you can do. And so I'm at that point, I was done with them. I'm still done with them. And it would take an awful lot to ever get me to change my mind. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
What's important in a gun safe? Security, reliability, safety, good looks? It all comes down to quality. Quality that's built in from the beginning. Liberty Safe has made quality products for 29 years right here in the USA. Trust your guns, your valuables, and your safety to Liberty Safe. Did you ever regret buying quality? I didn't think so. Get the best. Whatever your budget, get a Liberty Safe. LibertySafe.com.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the VADA Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free, yes, a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or gundealio.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in there. Matthew's called in from Shreveport. He's on line 3. Matthew, what are you thinking about buying here?
I was looking at getting the Springfield Saint or building my own, but I wasn't 100% sure of which one would be better to do since I'm new into the AR platforms.
There's really no better choice or which one's the right choice. It's kind of like, well, what do I want to do? If you just want to buy one that somebody else has put together and they've made all the decisions on it, and you say, I just want to buy it and go out and shoot it, then that's the way to go. There is an argument to be made that that's a good way to go on your first AR. And here's the deal. When you buy your first AR, that's what it becomes, because there's going to be a second AR somewhere along the line. At that point, you may say, well, I'm going to go ahead and do the whole Build-A-Bear deal. I'm going to build my rifle from scratch and do it that way. It really is kind of more of a matter of temperament. If you're a fix-it guy, if you like to tinker, if you like to take apart things, you may want to do that. There's nothing wrong with it, and Lord knows you can sure get a lot of information on the web about doing it. On the other hand, it's pretty hard to beat the price point of the Saint, the Springfield Armory Saint. That's a lot of rifle.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed, that the product or the products that are involved in that rifle is really nice products, but at the same time, I was looking at lowers, and there's so many different lowers. I mean, I've seen some for $300 to $59. What's the real difference in those? I mean, is it the milling or just the name that's stamped on the side?
Sometimes, yes, both. Strip lowers right now, I'm seeing them anywhere from $59 to $99. When you go beyond that, you're probably getting lowers that have more on them. By the way, what you may want to do, one of the better, summer cast, summer billet, to Jim saying, you may want to go to the Brownells website. I think it's AR-15builder.com. Yeah, that's what it is. AR-15builder.com from Brownells. It'll tell you everything you want to know about building an AR, the parts, and what you need, and that kind of a deal. It's really a cool, helpful site.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Lots of luck with it. It's, no matter which way you go, it's lots of fun. Line 2, Ben's with us out of Texas. Ben, the SIG P320.
Yes, sir. That's what the U.S. Army has gone with. I'm an Army veteran myself.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little late to the Tupperware party, but finally they've come around. And finally,
I love it.
And when we made the transfer from the 1911 to the Beretta, which many of us accepted gladly. And now I'm glad to see that they finally come around to the Tupperware fan. I guess the main reason is that it's modular, okay?
Yes.
And that it could accept 9mm, 357 6-hour, or the 40 cal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a wise move.
Yeah, and they can make it whatever they want. I mean, the actual pistol itself is just this little bitty tinkertoy part in the middle. It's a serial number, and then you put different grips on it. You put different uppers, and barrels and slides, and so it could be a compact, it can be a full size, it can be a duty gun. It could actually transition into tricked out stuff for special forces if they want to go that way. I think this is just going to be the beginning of probably a very long run, and we're going to see a lot of variations, which is something you couldn't really do with either the 1911 as much, or certainly with the Beretta 92. It's just going to be easier. You don't have to have an armorer to do all of this and to put together special tricked out guns, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, sir. No, I'm very happy that they finally gone, with the with that weapon. And you know how the government is; it takes a while to change over.
Oh yeah, this has been a multi-year deal, and all the major gun makers put together handguns to try to get this contract. Pretty much everybody did, and as a result, we get the benefit of that because we're seeing a lot of guns, semi-auto pistols, being introduced to the market from these various gun makers, and a lot of these guns were originally developed to compete for this contract. They may not have gotten the contract, but now they're putting them out for the rest of us to shoot. That's pretty cool. Hey, I appreciate the call, Ben. Thank you, sir. Hey, here's something good news. New Hampshire has eliminated the license requirements for concealed carry. They've gone complete constitutional carry, and it's effective immediately. And I've had people say, well, but you're not saying that like anybody from another state can go. Yes. If you're from another state, if you're from the U.S., somewhere, anywhere, it doesn't matter, and you go to New Hampshire, you can carry. No permit necessary. Constitutional carry. But what about, don't do the what about. Well, what if? No, don't do the what if thing. Do the what is. You hear people keep saying, well, what if somebody doesn't have the training? Well, what if this and what? Stop. Just stop. Stop doing what ifs and start asking what is, what has been. Many states have this already, and there's no problem, no issues, no safety things. Just not a problem. So instead of saying, well, gee, what's going to happen there, just look at what's happened to other places. It's very much like when we got concealed carry into states, and they say, well, that's going to be terrible in our state. Well, it never was terrible in other states. What's wrong with your people? You don't trust them? 866-TALK-GUN. I got to get this. Let me call this up. I need to tell you about something. I just got an email from a fellow. Let me find it because it was fat. There it is. Okay. He says, Tom, there's something you should let your listeners know. This is from Alan in Utah. ATF is masquerading as people selling guns online at ridiculously low prices and offering to ship the gun directly to the buyer from out of state. An acquaintance of mine had that happen to him, an out-of-state seller offering to ship the gun directly to him. He said he'd only have it shipped to a dealer, and in subsequent conversations, the seller revealed he was ATF trying to, quote, catch people. He says, I think you need to let your listeners know that all firearms transfers must, as you know, take place through a licensed dealer. Well, that's true if it's going across state lines. That's not true if it's in-state in most states, okay? Furthermore, if you have contacts in the Trump administration, which it sounds like you do, possibly, they should put a bug in Trump's ear and get this ATF entrapment scheme stopped. Why make criminals out of otherwise good guys? Love the show. Never miss one. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate that. Yes. Why would the ATF be doing that? These are not people who have decided to break the law. These are people who said, hey, I'll buy a gun. And then they dangle this thing out there and say, well, I'll just ship it directly to you. Oh, okay. That'd be cool. Some people may not even know that that would be a violation of the law. What's going on there? I don't know. Just thinking. But anyway, be aware and be wary that on interstate transfer of guns, it needs to go through a dealer. So if you're buying a gun from somebody in another state, they need to ship it to a dealer. In your state, you go to the dealer and they do the NICS check, the background check, and then you can get it. All's fine. Everything's good. Not a problem. But that's just the way it has to work. Line 2, Bob's with us out of Illinois. Bob, what are you looking at here?
Hey, I just got a question for you.
Sure.
I want to know what you think about the Sneaky Pete holsters. I've got kind of mixed feelings about those. I'm typically more of a traditional guy, but they look like they'd be really easy. Wonder what you thought about it.
That's the little neoprene sleeves you put your gun in and like tuck it into your waistband?
They're like a PDA holster. They look like a cell phone case. They're either nylon or leather.
Okay, that's one. Okay, that's a different one. I was thinking about the sticky holsters.
No, sticky. I'm very familiar with.
Okay,
no, this is just
anything that allows you to carry in comfort, that will allow you. You know what it is? If you will carry because you're using it, then it's a good holster. Mm-hmm. How fast you can get to it is one thing. Does it keep the gun securely is another thing. Does it prevent you from putting your finger into the trigger guard while you're drawing the gun out is another issue. But, there are holsters that I use that would not be right for everything, and they would be less than optimal for some things, but they will let me carry a gun at certain times, dressed certain ways in certain places that I wouldn't be able to carry a gun in my preferred method. Am I making any sense there?
Yeah, it does. It's just, they're concealed, but they're not, because it looks just like a cell phone case. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where the ambiguity is.
What gun are you thinking about putting in there?
It'd either be a Glock 42 or a Smith & Wesson Shield 9.
Nice. Good choices. I like that. I like the 42, by the way. That is a nice pistol. A little bitty thing. And the Shield, what can you say about the Shield, right? But they shoot well. Look, I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you very much, Bob. Pick a holster that works and put it with some of the other ones. I probably have 4 holsters I wear regularly. It depends on what I am wearing and what gun I'm going to carry, what kind of clothing, summer, winter, sport jacket, shirt tail out, shorts, deep concealment, whatever. It's a system, and you don't just figure it all out right off the bat. It takes you a while. You work at it. You work with a good concealed carry instructor. Talk it out with your friends. Get some of our DVDs. Go to shopguntalk.com, and you can see some of the things that we recommend there. 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in here. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.